robertbeatty.com. Scroll down a few screens and there is the link. Good morning, dear Dharma friends. How lovely to see you. Some of you I just saw a few minutes ago. It feels like the weekend retreat. Well, it's dark. Quite different from the summertime. I'm Robert Beatty. This is a broadcast of the Portland Insight Meditation Community. And we get to sit together this morning. How fortunate. I have a little poem. It was written by a friend of mine back in 1991, Martha Abshir. It's called Cowgirl on a Bucking Zafu. The zafu are those dense round cushions that you see in meditation halls, come from Japan originally. So it goes like this. Sometimes when I meditate, I feel like a cowgirl on a bucking zafu. Usually when I sit, my zafu trots along in that familiar gait of confusion or delusion. I think I know what I'm doing. Other times my zafu just ambles along, nibbling a tender shoot of the future here, a succulent leaf of the past there, delicious, lazy, aimless, moving from pleasure to pleasure. I try to remember to be present, and sometimes she stops altogether, dozes off for a moment, falling asleep, nodding awake. It's all I can do to stay in the saddle. Other times she's antsy, restless, discouraged, can't get comfortable, nothing works. Why try anyway? Sometimes I stay, sometimes I quit. Once in a while I can feel my zafu tremble and twitch in gradual warning, but other times she explodes with anger or fear, rage or terror, bucking and running, snorting and farting, wild, out of control. I try to stay calm. Whoa, girl, I say, slow down, take it easy, breathe deep. It's just a feeling. Let it go, let it be. Mostly, I just try to keep my seat. So there's really no telling what will emerge in any moment of our lives. But we are here developing the capacity to be with whatever it is. And we're supported in that capacity by a whole remarkable history of 2,600 years of practice and teaching. I didn't adjust this before. Hope it'll be okay. Part of that, or the base of which, is the refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Refuge in being awake and being aware. Refuge in what we discover when we're aware and awake. And refuge in the community of practice, the community of life. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. Making our way to a quiet place. Taking a seat comfortably upright. Placing mindfulness before us. The seeker of wisdom comes into contact with the reality of the body, with the rising and falling of the chest and abdomen, or the sensations at the nostrils. And we pay attention, we attend ardently. To origination factors, to dissolution factors. Or put more commonly, we pay attention to the beginning and ending, the coming into existence and the disappearance of this breath right now. Of course, there may well be wandering minds of different kinds, wandering into the past and the future. There could well be desires, wanting things, or dislikes, aversion, wanting things not to be as they are. There could well be sloth and torpor, dullness, sleepiness. Or restlessness, agitation, worry, or doubt. These 5 hindrances are not enemies. They're just what is in the human mind. And mindfulness is much deeper than they are. And so we notice these states that we fall into, that we wake up in. And then ever so kindly, nicely, gently, determinedly, we embrace the reality of the breath, the sensations of breathing, on our journey of awakening. One aspect of mindfulness is remembering. Remembers to be aware. Remembers the task. Mindfulness of in-breathing and out-breathing. And we are attending to the actual sensations of the body, in the body, with in-breathing and out-breathing. It's not an image of breathing, it's not some improved breathing. It's not imagining breathing through the heart or the feet or anything like that. In its livingness, the body breathes in, the chest and abdomen expand. There are sensations at the nostrils. And then there's breathing out. in addition to mindfulness and concentration. We practice with metta, with loving kindness, loving friendliness. With a welcoming heart. The breath is like this, the mind is like this. Sometimes the mind is placid and calm. Other times it's a bucking zafu. But we keep our seat. I aspire to love and accept the experience of my life, myself, exactly as I am in this moment. We also bring karuna, compassion. And in compassion, there's a willingness to experience the difficulty, the pain, the suffering, to not flinch and run away. And we share this suffering, this pain, whatever else is troubling us in our lives. We're not alone in this. We share it with all beings. So love and compassion are companions. Please let us add now to our practice a reflection or contemplation the contemplation upon what it is you really want, what all beings want. There's the longing to be safe, to be loved and loving, to be seen and valued, both when you're in fine shape and when you're hurting. And recognizing this longing, offering to ourselves the great mantra, I love you, with your name at the end. No hurry to it. And what if you really meant it? What if you practiced meaning it, learning to mean it? I love you, I will do my best to take care of you. For the rest of my life. I love you, with your name at the end. And you might bring to mind some way that you are challenged in your life right now. Some, quote, problem that you're sort of fighting with in your life, psychologically resisting. And realize that whatever this is, it is teaching you a profound spiritual lesson. It's requiring you to adapt your worldview, to become stronger, to become more resilient, to become more accepting. And what if you were to stop fighting against this and flow with it? What muscles could relax? Where could your emotional self relax? Remembering I aspire to love and accept myself exactly as I am in this moment can include the challenging, difficult aspects. And please now let us turn this loving kindness and compassion practice outwards. Maybe let a little tiny smile come to the corner of your lips. Think of a loved one that it's easy to love. Wish them well. May they be happy, free from fear and danger. May they live with ease and grace. May they be liberated. Imagine surrounding this person with golden or white light. Imagine them succeeding in their life in many wonderful ways, being healthy. And now let us extend this same wish to everyone in our group this morning. We may not know the details of each other's lives, but we do know that everyone has the same longings for being loved and loving and being safe. And awakening to our true great nature, our mysterious beingness. And now really being aware of the body, from the feet to the knees, to the hands, to the pelvis, to the torso and neck and head and face and eyes. And letting your eyes do all the necessary things to do to open, the preparing, the intention, the activation. And seeing with these eyes of metta and karuna, of love and compassion, Don't forget the second screen. There's a whole lot of people there too. Well, I'm very grateful to your presence this morning. In case you haven't been here for the announcement, I will be on retreat, personal retreat next week. And Monday morning, I believe Jim is on, and I haven't heard, I think Candle is Tuesday. I haven't heard the rest of it from that. Jim, would you like to speak of your Monday night gathering for a moment? Here, I'll highlight you. Thanks, Jim. So, what's up, my friends? Please feel free to share what you're experiencing. Questions, songs of praise and gratitude.
What should we be calling? Well, I think that the term has evolved into.
Hello, Mary Kay. First off, let me direct you to a wonderful website, which is called Restful Insomnia. And it's Sandra Kornblatt in Seattle, a Dharma friend of mine. And my recommendation when one is awake and wants to be asleep is actually to sit up and meditate. Don't lie down. To sit up and be as mindful as you can, and to be attentive to that mind. And it's hard. It's so hard. It's cozy in bed, and it's warm and so on. But to sit up and then be mindful until you get into the nods. And then you just slowly slide into bed or slide back into the covers. And chances are you'll actually go to sleep then. And because one of the things that's happening when there's flight of ideas is they're having an effect on the fight-flight response. And so they keep us slightly energized. It keeps us from going to sleep. But if we will sit for a while, whatever it is that's needing processing will come into mindfulness and then quite likely become quiet. Hmm. It's hard. It's getting up in the night and so on, but having a blankie nearby that you can wrap up in is really nice. And I've actually helped a lot of people over the years, sometimes with severe insomnia, that doing this, and it's also very restful to be practicing. So even if one were to sit for an hour or more, that in itself is very very restful. Let me know how it goes. Hmm. Absolutely. Right. Yeah. I'm building up a collection of guided meditations on robertbeatty.com. Near the bottom of the page, there's a link that when there are guided meditations that I think are particularly clear, I'm putting them there. So that's a place to go if you want to just be supported in your practice. Mm. Mm. Yay. Nice haircut. Yeah, are you looking for work? Mm. Well, you look very presentable. I like it. It's funny. I hear someone very faintly. Is that someone speaking? Hello, Billy. Now you're very faint again. Can everybody else hear? No. That's better. That's much that's much better, yeah. Mm, absolutely. I don't know what else to say, but you could pick another time in the day and sit for 10 minutes or half an hour or yeah, that the guided meditations are useful. They provide some guidance, and and I'm sure you've noticed many times, in the midst of a florid, wandering mind, this voice will say, "Be awake," and it wakes you up, sort of. But we also want to develop that capacity for ourselves when we're not being guided. So absolutely, make some time to practice in silence. Oh, and of course, oh, there's a cat. Um, it's amazing how many animals we have, isn't it? Uh, then there's also the meditation of brushing the teeth and putting cream in the coffee, and that's all. It all comes. It all supports itself from all kinds of different directions. There's a process, an observed. I've heard many times people saying, "Well, I used to like hearing your guided meditations, but now there's there's such an interruption. I don't do them at all anymore," and that also makes sense. That who am I to know what guidance an individual needs at any given moment? And the best I can do is, very often I'm observing my own mind. If you hear me say, and notice if your mind might take, quite a long wandering mind, it's most often because that's what's just happened. It's like, oh yeah, right. So, hope that helps. Part of what I'm hungering for and anticipating is that from Sunday evening next Sunday, till the following Saturday midday, I won't be having interruptions, and we'll able to just be very quiet. And I won't want guidance of any kind. I want to just be left to my own devices so as to see what happens. And I want to be left to my own devices. Not that. I want my damn devices to leave me alone. I shouldn't speak of them that way. I do love them. But I need a break from them. I hear a voice. Janine, hi. Mm. Well, of course, it sounds really frustrating. I must say your shiner is getting a lot better. It's really improved. But so what? So you can't open a can. So it's a very challenging time. You're frustrated. It pushes you beyond your capacity to be easily patient. And it probably sets off some lots of mental stuff. Poor me, um, probably quite a bit of fear as well. That maybe my head won't come back. Maybe this loss of concentration is permanent, and so these are real world sufferings, and simply bearing with it and staying conscious through this period will transform you. You can't see it from the middle. I always tell people on meditation retreats that in the middle of the retreat, you have no idea what's happening because we get into kind of an altered state in the present moment. Right now, your altered state is this: you're limited and it's frustrating, and you want it to just be over with. So, what to do with that? Are you familiar with Tonglen meditation? So Tonglen might be really helpful, right? You imagine the 10,000 other women on the earth whose dominant wrist has been broken and who are dealing with other challenges in their lives as well. And then you imagine, basically, you imagine that, and don't forget your own suffering in the midst of it. And include it all, and the visualization that's sometimes done is this: you create in your heart, you connect your heart with the Buddha or Kuan Yin or some archetypal figure. And then you breathe in this coil of, the Tibetans do it as a coil of black smoke that you breathe into the heart, and it's transformed there into love and compassion. And then you breathe that back out to other people and yourself. So there's a real, what would you say? It's a profound compassion practice for how ridiculously hard this is. And so we wind up having some relief through the compassion that our suffering becomes more bearable, partly because it's shared with others and partly because we realize this is the nature of human life. Dukkha is so omnipresent, and you're getting a bigger dose of it now than you really would like to have. Mm-hmm. Aha. Well, that's important to note, because whenever we compare, we're on very shaky ground. That your experience of this is real suffering. And yes, there's people with no food at all, and there's people who are refugees. And however, this isn't that, but it's still the real thing. And it's a kind of cognitive trap that we get into when we say, oh, well, my suffering doesn't count because there's worse suffering in the world. And then we're lost, really. We have no way to embrace the fact that our suffering, your suffering in this instance, is really real. Oh, it hasn't made it to Audible yet. It'll be at least another month. Everything moves with. I see. Mm. Tonglen, taking and sending, it's called. Yeah. Okay. Good luck with it. I just noticed my background. And this is not a virtual background. This is a carpet that I found in Afghanistan in 1971, in far north Afghanistan, Mazar-e-Sharif, right on the border. And I purchased it there. It was a wonderful thing. It was a half-day bargaining process, and it's quite heavy. And I carried it home in my backpack, back across overland through Iran and Turkey and so on, back to Europe. And then it's been with me ever since. So it's a good friend. It's good for a little. It's sort of good for sound echo reducing, and it was created on a loom. I don't know if I could do it. Yeah, there. These two. Funny, which kind is which? This is the width of the loom, and then they sewed it together. Probably a hand loom. Yes. Hello, Carolyn. Mm. Uh-huh. Mm. Mm. Well, there's a hint there, I think, that it's funny that I had words come to mind while you were talking. They just kind of bubbled up, which was, I wonder if you can let your heart break. And to, I want to be able to see you. Hang on, where are you? Huh. I'm still looking. Would you wave? Oh, there you are. Great. Okay, I want to do this. If you're willing, I'll spotlight you. And then I want to spotlight me with you. Add. There we go. Okay, that's better. I remember I only saw my maternal grandfather once, I think, maybe twice. He showed up at the door very old and very drunk. And it was really hard for my mother. She fed him and took him to the bus station. I don't remember the story, actually, but I remember this sense of, ugh, ugh. And that little girl part of you that's freaked out by this, that has maybe disgust or fear, terror, whatever the heck it is. It's really a painful feeling, and to really give that part of you the attention that it needs is very important. To honor it, because you said, I forget your terminology, but there's a way you want to reject it, and rejecting it never works. So in your meditation, to turn toward that, and maybe to do some dialogue work with her, to imagine a conversation or write a conversation between you and that little girl. And among the things that she needs to hear is, I'll take care of you, and I'll get you out of here sometimes so we can have some fun and not be so mired in the difficulties of ending. I know Stephen Levine used to spoke about how he and Andrea, and they were up to their ears in death and dying, and they would take calls from people in the middle of the night for years, talk to them, and people who were on the brink of killing themselves, and Stephen said that they always had baby goats and chickens, and they had lots of life around them because they needed something about life coming into being and the beauty of that in order to balance the overwhelming amount of endings and decay and that end of the cycle. So to probably to be sure to go to those places where you find joy, and also to not be on 100% of the time, which is very difficult when there's so many people sick around you, but to really acknowledge that you too need nourishment and joy and dancing or whatever it would that would bring that to you. Yeah. There's your experience of that is resonating with some of my own. That there's some very difficult. Jennifer decided yesterday she's going to fly to Fort Lauderdale next Tuesday, I guess. To her mother, we just moved her mother into memory care, and it's been hell. It's been just awful for Jen to make that decision, and then all the difficulty with communicating with family members that on the other side of the family, and it's just been awful. And more than that. So we really have to take care of ourselves and that vulnerable, needy part of ourselves. And there's a should that, well, I should be able to do all this. I should. Why am I pouting and being? Why do I feel sorry for myself? Well, why would you not? Why would you not? And that's not who we want to be or how we want to act out, act in the world. But to acknowledge that part that sometimes I get, it's like, oh, geez, I cannot open to one more pain. It's just too much. And then sometimes it's time to take a week off, or it's time to not pick up the next painful thing. So take care of yourself. I really believed quite some years ago, maybe 25 years ago, I was with a friend. We were both in social work to get school together. Might have been anyway, and I remember he confronted me in my hot tub, and we'd had lunch together. And I was saying something about I'm so sick of my needy self. And I was married and dissatisfied, and I need. And I had an attitude of real, well, what he pointed out was we got in the tub and he said, Robert, I have something to tell you. That is that what you just said, and what I had said was, I'd like to just expunge this damn needy side of myself. And he said, that's the third time you said something like that since we met for lunch. And that's a degree of self-hatred that you're going to have to deal with. And I had the fantasy that I had really dealt with my self-hatred. And I'd hardly begun, it turned out. That I had such expectations that I should be something that I wasn't. And the acknowledgement that we have in us these vulnerable, in a way, or metaphorically, these vulnerable little kids that really need our full attention, our compassionate full attention. Because just because they were formed 70 years ago doesn't mean they're not really real and worthy of love. Thank you. It strikes me one of the real reasons that we meditate is to stop the busyness, to stop the distraction, to stop the obsessive avoidance, and to see what shows up. And I've never met anybody who, when they stopped significantly, didn't have some hurting little, some significant hurting that had to come to consciousness, that had been buried and avoided. And what's hard to believe in the midst of that, or at the beginning of that, maybe all the way, maybe, is that there's an end to that. That's not all of us. In fact, the practice of developing the 7 enlightenment factors is we're opening up into being the Buddha, and our personality wounds become a smaller and smaller percentage, in a way, or smaller component of who we are, of who we know that we are, or that which we know we are. But it's a heavy journey sometimes, encountering those parts of ourselves that we reject. But it is doable, and it is a very natural unfolding. I think that's the subtitle of Stephen Levine's book, A Gradual Awakening. I think it's called A Natural Unfolding. I love that book, Jim. Well, how are we doing? Oh, 20 after 8. Anybody else want to share something before we go? Well, thank you for coming this morning. It's very nourishing, isn't it? So let's sing our way out of here. Please unmute yourself if you wish to be part of the great, melodic, beautiful parting song. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Have a lovely, kind, self-loving, beautiful day, my friends. Oh, tomorrow morning, 6:30 is the Mindful Movement Dance Party. Carolyn? Oh, Carolyn? Come back if you can. Oh, gone. All right. Have a lovely day, folks. Bye-bye. So long, friends on Facebook and YouTube.